the word voodoo comes from the Fon language. Many of the people in Haiti comes from the Fon nation. These are the people primarily of the area we now call Benin. In Benin, the word, one of the word for God is voodoo. In its neighboring country, Togo, where the Ewe people, or cousin people to the Fon people, live, when you want to say the nature of God and man, you say voodoo daha, meaning the God in me. You know, if you want to call on God Almighty, the Fon people, as well as the Haitian people, use the word Lisa. In Togo, the neighboring country, they use the word Sobe Lisa, which means God is every and all things at once. That God exists alone, and everything else that exists is an expression of an aspect of the divine essence. And that is the nature of voodoo. What voodoo says is that everything that exists is an aspect of God, and thus the essence of God is in all things: plants, animals, earth, water, humans. And because the divine essence is in all things, then we should treat all things as though they are an expression or representative of the divine essence. When we talk about voodoo, they try to reduce voodoo to European witchcraft. Voodoo is not European witchcraft. Voodoo is the oldest sacred science on the planet. Out of voodoo came Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. They all are elements from fragments from the periphery of the voodoo system, or the African indigenous spiritual system. So when I describe the three major religions of the West, we're talking about innovations on aspects of fragments from the periphery of African sacred science. When you're talking about voodoo, you're talking about the way of God as understood by the Africans and have passed down through the centuries. The rituals are nothing but ways of teaching that way of life. Rituals and ceremonies are the university for the value system of a people. Do you understand? And a people must be able to teach the concepts, ideas, and principles and embed them in the very psyche of the society. And the way that is taught is through ceremonies, through rituals, through celebrations, through festivals. And those festivals, rituals, and ceremonies is coordinated based on the cycles of nature. You understand? Voodoo is a way of life. It is a way of life that is wrapped in a culture. It is a way of life with a spiritual core that goes back to the divine itself at the very beginning of human time. It is a way of life that everybody else have a fragment of and use to organize their theologies around the world, while at the same time denying the parent people that gave them the very foundation for their theology. I'm talking about everything from Buddhism to Islam, from Christianity to Judaism. All of them are nothing more than representatives of fragments from the periphery, innovations on fragments from the periphery of the African spiritual system, which we call voodoo. The way of life of man in its purest form, that is the first manifestation of man's interpretation on earth, to represent the divine blueprint of the Creator itself, by recognizing the essence of the Creator in all things and respecting that divine essence that manifests in all things. The Egyptian system can be called the voodoo system. It's the same system. The Haitians call the elements loas. The Egyptians call those elements of the divine netches. They're talking about the same thing. The netches, or the netcheru of Egypt, is the same Loas of Haiti and the same Orisha of Nigeria. They're all talking about the manifestation of aspect of the divine power and essence in all other living things. When you think of voodoo, voodoo is not a religion. It is not a theocracy. It is a total way of life that involves the medicine, that involves the spiritual, that involves the pharmacology, that involves the psychology, that involves the sociology. All of these things are interrelated into one system that we call voodoo. And it has many different elements and many different levels of priesthood that do the many different functions. A priest is nothing more than a scientist who's a practitioner and who's a specialist in one area or another. Today in the West, what they're calling scientists is what we once called priests back in the early days. Okay. And so you may have, there's an element of voodoo that deals with surgery. There's an element that deals with pharmacology. There's an element that deals with psychology. I'll just give you a sense of understanding. There's three major orishas that everybody in the West know about. They know about Shango, they know about Oya, they know about Ogun. And so they'll say, oh, Ogun is the god of war, the god of iron. And Oya is the goddess of wind. And Shango is the god of lightning and thunder. But those are anthropomorphic symbols with metaphoric labels. If you look at the essence of what they were to symbolize in the human spirit and in nature itself, Shango in the human spirit symbolizes the courage within a human being that recognizes the need for higher spiritual growth. And once that is realized, that you have the courage, which they looked at a king as being the most courageous in society. So the courage to change yourself spiritually requires great courage. And so Shango is to symbolize the courage within any human being to change themselves to a higher spiritual self. But to do that, once you realize the need for change, you got to do something. You've got to marry change in process. Oya, the female symbol, which represents the wind, which is a symbol of metaphoric change, then marries Shango. So now the need for change has married the process of change.
Complete the circle, and the spirit was nil, was no more. The circle was broken, and the body had lost its path, at war with peace, struggling against all things. Search for the trail of life, the path that completes the circle. Struggle, struggle, complete the circle, complete the circle. Dialectic materialism, no. Metaphysical, no. Dialectic materialism, metaphysical. Unity, umoja. Struggle, unity. Work, study work, develop control. Speed development. Where is peace? Where is peace? Wise man, Saidi, oh Saidi. Where is peace? To find peace, you must be it. To find peace, you must be it.
You should know that you are guided. You know, you're highly honored and favored, especially for this knowledge reaching you from someone maybe that you respect enough to listen to it from. And that everything is lined up for you, and this is exactly how you planned it.
This thing is going on, you just have to look and see what it is. We take it for granted. Some guys say, well, how do you know I'm elevating? I say, well, look at all those people out there that's walking past by the thousands that don't know nothing. I'm talking about black people. For the mere fact you one person that knows something means that you are an advanced being. So a lot of times we have been trained to look at science fiction, to look for something miraculous, and it's all based on the consciousness. The information I'm doing now is going so far into the spirit and is going down to just the the subtle things. It's not the major things that the ego likes to hear, all the major scientific things. What we're dealing with now is the realm of the Great Mother who took over completely. This thing is now run by the feminine principle completely. You see what I'm saying?
You're taught a way that the only way that you're able to be social with others is through a medium of conflict. Okay? The only way that you're able to be social with others, this is the other side of the Hegelian dialect, not just what they're showing you in public, problem, reaction, solution, and all this, but what is going on in private in the consciousness where the beings cannot congregate unless they have an actual medium of conflict. But see, sports work well as a medium of conflict. Jay-Z versus Biggie Smalls works well as a medium of conflict. So all of those mediums of conflict that we see now, that all works really well for people to be socially communicative, because they're just commenting on who they like and who they don't like. And that's the virus. That's the judgment. It keeps them in judgment day, locked in as the squids feed on them. Right? That's what's happening in the Matrix. It's happening right now.
Whenever we get too tied down to anything on earth, be it a name, a body, a lifestyle, that's the road to ruin. When you get too worried about the human body and this lifetime.
Your subconscious mind is a quantum supercomputer that knows how to reach out through symbols and pull back whatever desired reality you choose. Most of y'all are choosing some fucked up shit because you have a universal, uniform way of thinking that's inspired by white people. Listen closely. Your observation makes this material world the material world that you know, just by observing it, remember? So if something you wanted to do magically and you keep looking at it, observing it, talking about it, then it is not going to work. You are observing it, therefore you keep it in particle form. For it to work in the quantum world where the magic happens, it needs to be in waveforms, meaning you must stop observing it. You are Oshun. You are the Palos. All of these gods and deities down here are not greater than what your mind is. Nigga, know thyself, playboy.
It's just important to realize that you're in a system that they're very, very serious about keeping locked down and keeping protected. And you can easily shut it down and nullify it by hacking back into your consciousness and uploading yourself back into the throne and getting the hell out of here. Meaning that get out of this vibration, get out of this resonance of conflict. Get out of this feeling of poverty, being robbed, and know that all this is connected to your energy and is connected to something that you're doing. So you have complete power and control. As I told you, it's these rappers. They're raptors. We know you from Kemet. When dark beings die, they become raptors. They become birds of prey. They knew phonetics, Phoenicians. There was a language introduced after the ancient tongue. It connects to the English language. They were seafarers. They sold everybody out. They used all of the passions of the powers to make man fall short. Alcohols. The alcohol is one of the ones you can't even remember. The age was so deep. You still even have your uncles in alcoholic stupors on the astral planes. As we go through this process of realizing, can we handle these powers and these degrees? Are we going to tap into free energy though?
Everyone should know by now about the Twa people. Later, and they said disrespectfully called the Pygmies. The Twa people are known as the seed people, the people that seeded this planet, the first in the fall, coming from the first ones down here from the quantum realm, so they represent the world of the small, the little people.
Why, having fun?
I've had enough. I'm not going in there.
Come on, Violet, we're getting out of here. Oh, you can't get out backwards. Gotta go forwards to go back. Better press on.
Hey, the room is getting smaller. No, it's not. He's getting bigger.
He's at it again.
If you remember Gulliver's Travels or Alice in Wonderland, where they get big and small, it's nothing but representations of the going into the quantum world. It's big, but it's small only in comparison.
The culture we in today hide the truth by making it sophisticated and mysterious. Sophism is the foundation of mysticism. So understand what I'm telling you, why your science is theoretical and why the shit that I'm teaching you now about the pygmy ain't theoretical. That image that you see in the background with the fish in the middle, that's science. That's how your house is powered right now. They don't manufacture energy. You can't create energy. You can only generate it. Energy is all around you. Perpetual motion is what allow you to generate endless energy. Energy companies would never run out of energy because it is constantly being pulled from the ether. The Dogon taught about the ether, and their supreme deity was not a person with a name or nothing you can touch or read about. It was everything you can only understand by studying about it, learning about it. That fish in the middle of the electromagnetic energy field, that fish in the middle of the donut represents the creator. It's like a pole in the middle of a tent. Without that pole in the middle of that tent, it'll collapse. The Dogon Kananga is what I'm teaching you now. It's a hyperboloid, right? This is why we say, women, I want you to have a Coke bottle shape. This is why men are so attracted to the Coke bottle shape. It's because that's the hourglass shape. The hourglass is the number 8 for infinity. Why is it called 8? Because it's the past tense of eat, and we're talking about the ether. The ether. This science is what the pygmy teach their people today. They ain't teaching them what the shit that Black Jesus talking about. The dang on pygmy teaching about the ether.
See, what happens is that it's like when you put your hand in the Pandora's box and you try to grab something and then pull the hand out, your hand gets stuck. And then you get these people, this is the perfect metaphor, you get these people that they don't want to let go so they can receive. It's like you can't receive something because you won't let go of what's in your hand. Nor can you get your hand even out because you don't want to let go of what you think you have inside of this. That's why nobody leaves here with anything that is actually tangible here, any of this physical stuff. You only leave actually with the memories, right? There's some self-destructing happening because it's the degrees of knowledge, which is real power, real power. Do not play around. Get yourself together. The power is going to turn up. It will rip you from within if you don't get balance. It will come out in the weakest links. And now all this energy is going to start running more through you, but that same leak, if you still have that character flaw, it's going to rip everything from that character flaw. The chakras are going to basically spin offline. So take care of it already. Get it out of your mind. Let it go. It's the end. It's over. It's like, stop. You know, like, serious. You know, you got to get something. Look, stop. Serious. It's over.
The frequency of planet Earth. In science, they call it the Schumann resonance, right? Now, the Schumann resonance is the heartbeat of the Earth, all right? It's literally the frequency that the Earth pulsates. It's the frequency that creates our reality. But they call it the Schumann resonance. Now, the Schumann resonance, it has a particular rate, of course, right? I don't remember exactly what it is, but let's just say it was 7 hertz. Family, now it's quadrupled exponentially. Let's say it's like 700 hertz now, all right? meaning the frequency of the planet has gone up.
You say, now you fucking me up. Didn't I just tell you a few minutes ago that we are higher than the gods that created the physical realm? This realm was created from a primal world that existed before. So in actuality, you got to become one against God. Because, now what is this talking about? We're not talking about, so you have to get out of the human phase when you talk about this. Think of this thing as one energy superseding another energy. Just as the other energy surpassed our energy and set up this dream world, and we went into hibernation, now our energy has to surpass the other energy. So the God of creation must be overwritten and killed by the God of the world to come, as they call it in the Kabbalistic text. You getting this? You existed before creation. Several primal worlds that were in existence for billions of years, then you went into hibernation in a dream state, and your energy was used to create the world around you and to imprison you in this particular world. And that's all what you know of as nature. It's a matrix. It doesn't exist as an illusion, a series of events that don't exist, called Maya, illusion. And the God that created that Maya in that illusion has got your ass now trapped in this thing because you are still thinking of creation, and you're thinking about getting back on top of civilization and going back to Egypt. Well, let's cut the damn dumb shit. You're not going to go back no goddamn well. Now, and I'll explain this to you too also, why this cannot be. If you are to raise yourself up back into a civilization on the earth plane that resembles your past glories, that means that your soul will be trapped forever. Because you didn't come on this civilization as a human. You developed into what a human condition was. So you can't go back to doing the human. Been there, done that. You got to go back to the original. So all of the Afrocentric and the conscious immunity stuff is all based on you going back to the original. But we don't read what the ancients say. The ancients never said that you was going to return to Egypt. The ancients said, as well as all religions, even the religions say this, but all ancient scriptures talk about you go into another existence.
They manipulate our history books. The history books are not true. It's a lie. The history books are lying. You need to know that. You must know that.
I mean, that's the whole thing. It changes the history, and he doesn't seem like he wants it to change.
Well, it changes the history, it changes the geography, but it changes something else, which I think is not something Zahi wants to change. Is that Zahi is very much against the notion that the pharaohs originated in Black Africa. You know, he's very, very anti-Black Africa. So, but you know, he can huff and puff. I mean, the evidence is coming out and it's not published.
But when you look at the statuary of a number of the pharaohs, you know, they look a little weird, but if you put in your mind, this is a person that has Negroid features, you know, then the big lips and the flat nose make a whole lot more sense.
There is no doubt in my mind at all that the original ethnic appearance of the Egyptians, or what we call the Egyptians, the original Egyptians, were black Africans. And it's so obvious. We know that the pharaohs, even in later times, traveled deep into Central Africa. So I think the puzzle is clear, and there is no doubt at all in my mind, and there is no doubt at all in the minds of many anthropologists. It's becoming very kosher now to discuss this almost as a matter of fact.
When they lost the war, all the countries, all the states that were going to be let back into the United States had to adopt the 14th Amendment. And if they didn't, they would be burned down and killed.
Which, the 14th Amendment, which
the 14th Amendment, which says that everybody is basically a slave under the federal government, and that involuntary slavery is illegal so long as you're not punished by a crime. So if we can lock you up, you can be a slave legally. And so that created the original so-called Libra Code that was then adopted by the Belgian Conference in 1888, which then led to the deep colonization of Africa. You understand? So what I'm showing you is they use the same code here to break our republic and then force everybody into being citizens of the United States, which means that they are subject to a foreign power, an inferior state, when they were subjects of a foreign power, which was the republic and the empire that was already here. And we can find this, the proof of this, in the letters that were written to the governors by the military general that established the new government that started in 1867. So that means, brothers and sisters, if they didn't create the U.S. citizen mandate until 1871, what were the people that were here prior to the creation of the U.S. citizen? They were Americans, because they were in the republic. So whether you realize it or not, when the Prophet Jew Ali said that I am a true American citizen, he didn't say that he was a citizen of the United States. That's some shit that they flipped up later after they reorganized the Moorish Science Temple in 1938, when they put the traitor C. Kirkman Bey in charge, and then he went in and changed it up and brought the Freemasons into it, and it's been all messed up ever since.
You can ask anybody in history, before the Civil War, what were Negro, blacks, and colored called? You were a Moor. If you don't understand that, you a fool. You a fool, not me. Because all Europeans know this, all European Masons know this. That's why they wear the fez in clandestine. And that's why they buried your black bleepity bleep in a shallow grave. And they wear your science.
And the policy is we keep these niggas locked down regardless. Because at any point that they realize what's going on, we're all done. Not just the white folk, but the Koreans, the Chinese, everybody that's been exploiting you all these years in this country, they're gonna have to pay.
Right after the Prophet, the seal with the eye of the pyramid was put in a dollar bill. That was the first time that many Americans seen that seal. Up to that time, all they seen was this seal. This seal was revealed one time at the World Fair in 1881. And those who didn't see it at that time, they didn't see it afterwards. This seal was well hidden. As a matter of fact, America never cut the die for the seal. The reason why they never cut the die for the seal, because the die already existed long before America was created. So why would they cut the die for something that was already in existence? They just presently cannot use that seal because that's our seal. See, you had two nations here, well involved in one. That's why this is the only nation with a two-sided seal. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. And so you have two nations here well involved in one. But what happened was that when the Europeans through the Union Society stood up, we sat down. We stopped functioning as a society. One reason was because many of us tried to run over to this side. We wanted to be like them. We wanted to be Christians. We wanted to be part of their program. And that's what the Prophet said. We didn't honor the principles of our forefathers and our foremothers. And that's why we suffer slavery. And that's why this ceased to function. And the Europeans said, no problem. we sweep it under the rug and y'all forget about it. We go ahead and do our thing. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't until the prophet came and said, wait, what's all the stuff y'all got hidden underneath there? Pulled out the flag, pulled out everything, and told them, put our seal back on the money. And at first, the elders said that they tried to put it on a $100 bill. And the prophet said, no, put it on the $1 bill, because our people don't even handle no $100 bill. Put it on the most handled piece of paper on the planet Earth today, so everyone can see it. And we see it every day, but we don't realize the whole history that's on the back of this thing. It's all here.
Spirituality means breath and the art of breathing and nothing else. And all priests know that. Spirit and spirituality is breath, the art of breath, learning to breathe to prepare yourselves to receive the electrical charges from the Akashic records that exist in nature that connects you to the higher mind.
And well established that we're looking at the face of an African individual here, an African head. And I'd like to compare that with this African head, which is roughly the same size as the head of the Sphinx. It's an enormous piece of sculpture. When you stand beside it, it towers above you, and it weighs about 40 tons. The only problem with this African head is that it doesn't come from Africa at all. It comes from the Gulf of Mexico.
Aaron?
We don't know, actually, because you see the African face is a real problem, actually. Of course, the Egyptians are as prejudiced as everyone else, and they don't want to actually believe that the Sphinx itself could be a sub-Saharan African. A couple of weeks later, a letter was published from an orthodontist who also knows about faces, saying, hey, that Sphinx is actually a sub-Saharan African face. I didn't say it. He said it, so I'm not in trouble for that.
And under these circumstances of so-called secrecy, the Egyptians developed secret systems of writing, which is the hieroglyphs or the metanetter, and teachings, and forbade their initiates from writing what they learned. That's why I say anybody talk about some Egyptologists, that's a damn lie. That's some European made up stuff. Them Europeans didn't know how to read the damn hieroglyphs. You got to be crazy. There wasn't no locals. They wasn't no local. That's why in masonry they're only 32 and 33 degrees. That's why the Negro Mason is only 32 and 33 degrees. They don't understand the signs and symbols of the primordial man.
We had a nation. The fact that, okay, we have a country, we had a nation, and an empire, and still do. These people is just sitting in the place of us until we step up and do what we're supposed to do. By going back into the free, it's going back into the constitutional fold.
Remember, Moor means navigator. We were a maritime nation all over the planet. So, and you say, wait, they declared their independence from Britain. You think they declared their independence in 1776? When they declared their independence, they declared their independence from the Moorish nation. And when I first heard, I said, oh, that's crazy. What are you talking about, the Moorish nation? They're white people from England. I found a book called Diplomatic Relations with the Barbary Powers from 1776 up. And in it, it said that in 1776, Britain, France, Germany, Denmark, Italy, all these countries were paying tribute to Morocco. They were paying tribute to the Moors. You don't pay tribute unless you're a conquered nation. They were paying tribute to the Moors. And we were using them as mercenary forces. This thing is deep.
So all 196,940,000 square miles of the planet Earth that has fertile land, the black man is on it.
Get your pens and your pencils, Moors.
I've been saying it for years. They all playing games with you. They all act like they don't like this shit, but in the end, they wish they could be it. They wish they could just walk with a fez free in the street like that. They can't, because if they do, their heads be taken, because they swore an oath to never tell you. And none of us is exempt. My grandmother knew, my grandfather knew. They didn't tell me nothing. So imagine how many lives would have been saved of our people if we had just stopped and said no to these generational curses.
A lot of Moors done miss the teachings of the Bible. They don't know the Bible talking about your physical body. You done missed the teachings. You done fell and bumped your head. Man, the fez is your national headdress. And everybody represents the fez. I'm telling you, man. Why you think people wear it in clandestine? This is powerful. This is powerful, man.
This is the pyramid, the all-seeing eye. This has a deep significance. You'll be surprised when you put this up on your head. Watch the responses that you get from Europeans, any people. I don't care where they come from. When we be standing there 125th Street, all the brothers, we be out there, all you see is feathers out there, Germans, they all come by every day, look, they're like, damn, the Moors, they waking, they realizing who they are now. They come to, I don't care what country, Pakistan. The rulers of my country, they wear that. Africans come to me. Only big chiefs can wear that in my country. This was a sign of nobility of the rulers of this planet.
And the soft cat fez, when you turn that inside out, it represents the Liberty Bell. This is the gong inside. Islam Moors? Who's the Asiatic man? We are. Y'all know this, man. So who's being lied to? Moorish Americans, we know who we are. Why? Because we annex our freedom name to it, our tribal name that's next to freedom. What? Our Bay and our L. We don't put no damn X at the end of our name. And then if you want to deal with the tribe of Shabazz, okay, you can still be the tribe of Shabazz. Why? What did our prophet, Brother Malcolm, do when he went on his pilgrimage to Mecca? What did he come back as? I'll wait. When they were dealing with nationality. I'm trying to tell you. What did our prophet Noble Drew Ali come back when he came back from his pilgrimage from Mecca? What did he have next in his name when he came back? You don't see no damn X on there. El Hajj, Malik, El Shabazz, ain't no X on there. Do y'all know the esoteric meaning of the crack in the Liberty Bell? Do y'all know the esoteric meaning of the crack in the Liberty Bell? That crack, I mean, our liberty was stolen. Through what? Reclassification. If the 13th Amendment freed every Negro, black, and the color, what was the use of the 14th and the 15th? Y'all ain't listening. Y'all not listening. The Liberty Bell, the fez, turned inside out, it represents, that's that Liberty Bell. Don't y'all know the Spanish Empire was the Moorish Empire? Don't y'all know this? Man, the Moors ruled Spain for 700 years. What do you think? This is science. This ain't no made up garbage. Think about it. If you think a Spaniard right now want to act like they don't got no Moors blood in their veins, they got to be crazy.
So race is this. There's only one race, and that is the human race. And within that human race are different nationalities. And the nationalities are determined from the mother. And now to get into that, because see, one mother's breast had really given you suck. That's why, as you may have recently heard about, I think it was a so-called Chinese national that said that he did his DNA and he's going to prove that, he's a pure Chinese. And when they did the DNA, it came back to Africa. Because it's only one, the Moabite African woman is the mother of civilization in terms of this human family. Period. And then when we did the experiments or whatever, which could be a different thing, now our sons started reading into those, and that became a different nationality. Now,
the fez is worn as the symbol of the womb. The fez is worn as the symbol of the womb. What womb? It ain't not mine. The Empress, which Noble Drew Ali have in his hand, fallen humanity, which is the Empress, which is you, Empress. See this? You see this right here? See, the fez is worn and it symbolizes the womb, the woman's womb. And the top of it has a nipple. The nipple shape. That symbolizes what? It symbolizes the navel. And the strands of the tassel are what? 360 degrees. As in 360 degrees of what? Of knowledge. You see, my tassel is not pinned down. It's not pinned down, as in certain secret societies. The fez symbolizes the woman's womb of the cosmos.
the national headdress of the mothers and fathers, of the mothers and fathers, of the mothers and fathers. So when you hear some goofball, domestic, goofy terrorist Negro with a fez on telling your empress they can't wear a fez or the turban or whatever, and I'm giving you facts, is tell you that it's the headdress of the mothers and the fathers of the human family, founders of civilization and masters of the cosmos, masters of the science. 3rd, 33rd, and 360 degree. Are you listening to me when somebody talk about this some Freemason? No, this is Kemetic science, this is our science. That's why I say this 99 degrees. This is 3rd, 33rd, and 360. I keep telling y'all, 360 is just the sum total of material wisdom. 720 is a total sum of both material and spiritual wisdom. I keep telling Morris, this 33 times 3. These are 99 degrees. I'll show you the science because they're sons of Muslims. And I'm telling you, I have their manuals. I know what they keep away from the Negro. I keep telling y'all, one of the Masonic tricks is to put something right in your face. That's why I be telling more. I'm like, how you gonna say you study the science and you wear this fez and other people wear the fez in clandestine and they have systematic classes? That's why I tell any more that I know. I put a lower level Blue Lodge Mason, not no black person, no disrespect, not no Negro Mason or European against a lower level Moor that talk about he go to the temple and he'll eat his butt alive. Why? Because he study you to a T. Because he dressed up like you. He got on everything, and you look at him, and then when you look at yourself, you diss the science. And they be laughing like, this goofball don't even know we buried him in a shallow grave and stole the science. That's why we wear it in clandestine.
Merry Christmas.
Santa Claus is the ultimate Christ figure. Oh, because all the Afrocentric people, most of the Afrocentric people never studied the occult. They're historians, so they can't put shit together ultimately. I'm an occultist. There's a difference between metaphysicians. Metaphysicists studies the science of life. I study the occult. That's the deep, dark grimoires. Let's check out Santa Claus. Santa Claus is the Christ. Go get the damn movie Santa Claus that came out in 1990. That's the damn North Pole. Santa Claus is in the North Pole. Santa Claus colors is red and black. That's a leg bar.
Yeah,
it's red and black. Red represents the root chakra of the Kundalini. Down here. That's red. That's called Babylon the Beast, the Great Mother. Black represents the black dot. Yeah. But when the black dot is polarized, it becomes white. That's why he got a white ball on the top of his head. Now let's deal with this. His damn hat is cone shaped, which represents the pyramid, which is the ultimate symbol of Christ and Sirius. He got red and black. Some of his doggone, he got a black belt, but he has, and anytime you see the black belt, that represents melanin. That's why the highest degrees in damn martial art, the black belt. Melanin. The ninja puts on all black to represent melanin. The Jewish priest and the Lubavitcher put on all black to represent melanin. It's the highest form. The judge put on all black to represent, all of these are representing the black God of the perfect black body of Osiris. Lord of the perfect black. Okay? So, you all, yeah, that's Santa Claus and all that shit, because see, you're going by niggas that don't study no they're called. They scared of it. They think it's the devil. Red, he has, some of his suit, he has little white balls going up. That represents the damn chakra systems. Okay? He got black boots, because black, when you standing on the black, that's the foundation. It's called the black seat or the stone. You came from blackness, and you'll go back to blackness before you get to the white, which you'll become a star in the heavens. So the star at the top of the head on the cone represents the Christ symbol. He's fat because he's representing Buddha. Where does shit come from? The Buddha, which is Osiris. Fat also represents jolly, which is talking about humbleness. You see what I'm saying? He lives in the North Pole. His helpers is the elves, which is the Twaban, because they was
babies.
That's right.
You get it? The North Pole is ice, represents light. You go see the X-Files movie. When that shit, they say an ancient substance, it was here before man, a black substance was here before man that will replace man by using man as the host. That's the melody. But they ended up in the damn North Pole. In the movie, Tim Allen say, he got the suit jumped on him. He came up, he said, who's in charge? They say, you in charge. He said, hold on, wait a minute, hold on. There's some adults up here. Who's in charge? Who's running this thing? They said, wait a minute, do you read the label of the suit? Whoever wears this is in charge. This is the suit, which is the chakra systems of the autonomy of the body of God, which is the temple of God is actually on the inside, which is your chakra systems, the third eye. Whoever wears the suit is in charge. You in charge of your own shit, because you the damn gods. So you in charge. He drives a chariot, a ship, a sled. The reindeers represent not a man-made energy, but a natural nature energy from the cosmos. The same energy that the damn reindeers is inside of you. You get it? He slides down a tube, the chimney, but the chimney has what in it? Soot. What is soot? Carbon. Melanin.
That's right.
Profound. He slides down the chimney bearing gifts. The gifts are the jewels of the spiritual enlightenment. They say, brother, you dropping some jewels there. Your gift is your knowledge. You regaining your knowledge. But he gives the gift to who? Children. But they have to be naughty or nice. They have to be nice. But children represent humility. If they're not grown. That's why I say you fuck till you grown. You know, no, you ain't getting shit. But the children represents humility. See, children are generally humble. It's only when they go to high school. And the high school fucks you up. You're never the same after goddamn high school. You start worrying about what you gotta wear. And all the goddamn shit that's gonna make you an asshole for the rest of your life. They do this shit in damn high school. You used to believe in all the mystical shit. Cartoons, niggas flying in the air. You believe in all the shit. But it's not cool to believe in it in high school.
That's right.
High school is the most cruel time. If you ain't one of the damn elite or one of the ones in the in crowd. That's why they frown against individuality. That's what the nerd is doing. He don't fit the stereotype.
Come on.
So most of the time, the nerd has to change his biological and physiological and mental makeup just to be a part of the dead crowd. So after puberty, you're never the same. Your adulthood come in and you suppress all things holy. And you stop believing in the dreams and the fairy tales, which is reality. In mythical stories handed down from generation to generation, because you're grown now, which means I'm a doggone adult idiot with a license.
Those who say that they are Jews and are not are of the synagogue of Satan the devil. We're not talking about people. That's the point I'm making. We have been misguided into dividing ourselves against another people because somebody told us that they were devil. That's called trickery. That's not the truth. Those are the ones that belong to the synagogue of Satan. Those are your dead glands. When your glands are dead, and this is a gland, brain, you belong to the synagogue of Satan the devil, because you're being guided by compulsive desire. And you're serving not God, but the earth. Instead of being Lord of the earth, you're the slave of the earth, which is your body. You work for your body. You buy clothes for your body. You buy a car to ride your body to work. You getting the message? That's not Lord of the earth. That's a slave. A real slave is the one who serves his or her physical form. This is a vehicle. This is your vessel, your boat, not your master. You are M-A-N. Thank you. That is a symbol of God. Every time you look up in the sky, you see the symbol not only of God, you see the replica of your own soul. It's what you're looking at.
You're thinking this is all crazy. What we're dealing with here is breaking down the dimensions of what is the human mind based on what you call conventional and orthodox structure of humanity, on which makes you a slave. You got to come out of all of it. But the key here is your family members, them assholes, all of them can never be the measurement and the criteria on which you free yourself, including your goddamn children. They want to act like a motherfucking fool, your mama, and all of them. Fuck them. They gonna all be on the other side when you get there. Saying what took you so long. Them ignorant motherfuckers gonna be the first to go. Because you are here struggling for them. So don't look at them as the litmus test on why you buy into shit. Fuck your goddamn mama and your grandmama, a fucking ignorant ass snuff dipping fool. Yeah, I know this quiet in here, but I'm trying to tell you. If your mama weren't an idiot, fuck her. This ain't about moralism. Your family can never be the litmus test on how you climb up to the lofty heights of the high divinity. That's the problem. You waiting on to be sanctioned by your goddamn asshole family, and them the fucked up motherfuckers. You gotta come out of this shit. They are children. They don't know. Y'all go and get all this shit. I'm going home. I'm gonna drop this knowledge, and you get beat over the damn head. If you want to get a good ass whipping, go to a damn nigga that don't want to hear that shit. You be the fool. All these books, you motherfuckers will tear your ass up. Am I lying? Well, you got a nigga that don't want to hear that shit. Now I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna teach them people. It ain't about teaching them damn niggas nothing. You go there and y'all get in an argument and you be the damn fool. You gotta make the decision. It ain't about no fucking goddamn cheap preacher. You see what? It ain't about the preacher. It ain't about nobody now to get out of this shit but the gods that came back to do this. We doing this shit. Your family ain't got shit to do with this. And quit going home trying to teach them something. If you give it to them and they don't respond, fuck it. Turn on the goddamn TV. This ain't got nothing to do with that. See what I'm saying? And that's the problem. We all still trying to be sanctioned by our asshole families, but humanity is the enemy.
Me and Reverend Valentine were talking about this about 2 months ago. That, bro, the Bible is like 500 years old, bro. The Bible is like 500 years old, bro. You heard? All that writing, all this old shit they took them out in the British Museum and this shit and Oxford and the Shambolian and all this old stupid ass shit is fake. You heard? It's fakes. And white folks is not entitled or do not have the responsibility to be custodians of truth to no nigga. Niggas got 150-year reading legacy, my brother. You heard? We don't know nothing. So they done gave niggas the Bible, and the Bible was specifically for the purpose of slutting out black people.
All the stuff I've been talking about in the 90s is coming to pass. It's beautiful. This shit is over. The country is destroyed. They understand something, and the Jews know this. Now, this way you come in. They have studied this thing, and they have annexed and isolated the Messianic people, and that's you. You see, so if you got a cancer to them, it's divine for us, it's cancerous to them. We the niggas that won't go away. And you got a cancer that's somewhere in here, then you have to isolate it. And just because you happen to be in America, they have isolated the Messianic group. This shit still goes back down to you. So therefore, they're saying, well, America has to become more of a penal colony so we can contain the Messianic people. It's all about us.
Since